Hello, so today we are here for another episode of my Spanish media consumption. I'm not sure what to call these. I am going to split them into sections, so if you're only interested in a specific section, there will be, timestamps in the little, labels. Someone last time had the suggestion that I talk about how I actually use these things, so I will talk about that briefly at the beginning. If you're not interested, you can just skip it. So the first thing I did mention last time, but there is a Chrome extension called Language Learning with Netflix that I do use when I watch Netflix on Chrome. I do often watch Netflix on a TV at my boyfriend's house and on my iPad. So in those cases, I just watch with Spanish subtitles. Occasionally, if I really can't understand something, like I'm not sure where the plot is going because I don't understand so much, I'll go back and watch an episode again with English subtitles. But in general, I try to watch either with Spanish subtitles or with both, which is what this Chrome extension allows you to do. I think that they have either come out with or are coming out with the same thing for YouTube, so that's an option as well. I think it's great, highly recommend it. The other tip that I have for Netflix or for any streaming service that you have is to actually set your profile language to the language that you're learning. If you are on like a shared profile, you can do it like temporarily. If you run into a problem where the subtitles or the dubbing or something for the language that you're trying to learn isn't available, usually if you switch your language to that language, it will become available. So I know that there are like VPNs and stuff that you can use to get additional shows, but if you're not able to do something like that, this will open up a lot more like dubbed options. Sometimes there will be weird glitches where like a show is originally in Spanish, but it doesn't have Spanish subtitles available or something like that, and usually changing the profile language will resolve that. You can always just change it right back when you're done, or you can just leave it and then you'll get even more practice because you'll have to navigate. As far as like language learning things, I know a lot of people will like make lists of vocabulary while they're watching and then look it up afterwards. I don't do that. I mean, honestly, you guys don't even understand how lazy I am. I will look up something if I'm like, I've been seeing that word a lot, or like it's fun, like slang that I see them using a lot. I will look stuff up, but I don't like make vocabulary lists. I don't write down definitions. I just don't find it a good learning tool for me. So the first category is shows, which I only have one to talk about, which is abnormal for me. I have more movies. Normally I am a show person, but right now I've been into movies. It's kind of nice. You can just like watch the movie. To be honest, normally I watch them in 2 sittings, but the show that I watched is called Quien Mató a Sara, Who Killed Sarah. It is on Netflix, and there is just 1 season right now. There is the 2nd season, I think, coming out at the end of May. So this is obviously, from the title, a murder mystery. You start out following the brother of the girl who was murdered 18 years later as he is getting out of prison, where he was falsely imprisoned for killing his sister, which he did not do. So then you follow him trying to get revenge on the family who he feels is responsible for his sister's death. So it is very dramatic, very, very inappropriate for probably anyone under the age of 16, 18. There's a lot of language and a lot of sexual content, violent content, but it was very entertaining. It is a Mexican-Spanish show. The kind of oldest generation in the family had immigrated from Spain, so they have European Spanish accents, but the rest of them have Mexican Spanish accents, so it was really fun to learn some Mexican Spanish slang. I haven't officially picked a dialect, but I'm kind of leaning towards Mexican Spanish. So this show, I would say this is a decent show. It's not an incredible show, but it was really good for learning. It was entertaining. It kept you wanting to watch, wanting more. Everyone in this show, cannot stop with the voyeurism. Like, the amount of times that you watch someone watch other people in the show get it on, and you're just like, is this normal? Like, does this actually happen this much? So that was kind of a funny thing that I was like, here we go again. Here's another one. But yeah, I did enjoy that show, and I definitely plan to watch the second season. So that was a success. So I have 3 movies that I have watched. The first one is called Carmen y Lola, and that one is on HBO Max. This is the story of 2 Romani girls living in Spain who fall in love, and their families don't approve. From a language learning perspective, was not the greatest. Only English subtitles were available, and they speak, it was a little bit more of an art type movie, so the audio wasn't always like super clear, they talk softly. Yeah, it was a really good movie. Like, from a movie standpoint, I would recommend it. From a language learning standpoint, like, it was good. It would probably be better for a little bit more intermediate to advanced learners, but I still recommend the movie. The second movie that I watched was called Yucatan, and this is on Netflix. This was really entertaining. It is the story of con artists on a cruise ship, and so they're kind of like warring to rip people off. So you were following the different con artists and the family that they are kind of trying to steal from. There were a lot of very, wild, over-the-top characters. It was, definitely just comedy, but it was kind of endearing. Not a great cinematic event. I definitely don't think that in a year I will be able to tell you what the plot of this movie was, but it was still educational from a language learning perspective. So if you're looking for just a fun comedy to watch for Spanish, I do think it's a good choice. The third movie that I watched was called Dime Cuando Tú. This is another Mexican Spanish movie on Netflix. It's like a rom-com, a little bit of a stereotypical, like, boring office job guy goes on a journey to find himself and encounters artsy type people and discovers the true meaning of life. But it was still really endearing. I felt like there was a little bit of nuance at the end that made it slightly more enjoyable and slightly more memorable than similar types of movies. It is probably one that I would rewatch because I enjoyed it. Next section is YouTubers. I have 2 that I have been watching. The first one is Beyond Words. She has a lot of subscribers. I think she's fairly well known on Spanish YouTube, but she is kind of lifestyle, language learning. She has like a wide variety of videos, so I think lifestyle probably describes her. I find her really down to earth. She seems like a person that you'd like enjoy talking to, doesn't seem to be curating a perfect image of her life on the internet, but at the same time, her videos are really aesthetically cool. She does a great job production-wise, and yeah, I really enjoy her videos. I've watched quite a few of them at this point. The second one is Irene Nortes. She also does kind of like productivity, lifestyle stuff. I initially found her through a video on Why I Journal. I have watched several of her videos since then, and she seems like a very kind, nice person. The next section is like podcasts or podcast-like things, because this is not actually a podcast that I'm going to recommend, but it is the Insight Timer app. So if you're not familiar, Insight Timer is like a kind of meditation spirituality app. I use it for guided meditation typically, but I discovered that you can add up to 5 languages on this app. So if you're in your settings, you can actually add up to 5 languages, and they do have quite a number of languages. This can be a paid app, or I use the free version. The free version has quite a few like guided meditations. This is typically what I use like every day, but the real wealth of free content is under talks. And you can select, like, say, you have your like, I only have 15 minutes. So you can select that, and then there will be a bunch of talks that are less than 15 minutes. And you can also select like different things like podcasts, interviews, stories, etc. I have been just choosing random talks in any of the languages, and also I'm doing guided meditations, creating a habit of practice. Those are just like 10-ish minute guided meditations in Spanish, so that's been really nice. And the last thing that I have been really enjoying lately that I just discovered pretty recently is the Instagram account Pictoline. Actually, that's probably the English way to say it. Pictoline? I don't know. Anyway, I'll put the thing on there so that you don't have to look at my screen, but they do little cartoons. So, like infographic cartoons. This one is like a summary of a tip for sleeping from the book Why We Sleep. They do like current event things like the government in Colombia, the train collapse in Mexico. So it's like informative, and then also you're like scrolling through Instagram and you get a little bit of language practice. So I recommend that. It seems like they do a really great job. So I think that is everything that I have for this video. I was thinking that I might do these quarterly, but I think at the rate that I'm going right now, I would have too much to talk about, like they would be too long. So we'll see if that keeps up, but for now I'm just going to do them when I kind of feel like I have enough content. So let me know in the comments what you've been enjoying in any language, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.